Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ice Commentary this week. It's Nick McDonald speaking. I want to start this week and look at the monthly chart, then work our way down from monthly to weekly to daily, doing a top-down approach. Sometimes I do it a little bit differently. Sometimes I even start in the middle and look at the weekly chart. However, this week I think that starting from the top and moving down is going to make the most sense. So my view on the monthly chart actually hasn't changed. It hasn't changed for quite some time. And that is that it looks bullish. So in the longer term, if we're projecting out 6 months, 12 months, I believe the markets will be quite bullish over that time. And ultimately, just recapping the view of this is a nice strong uptrend. We started to threaten the uptrend here as we start to pull back a long way, and these two blue arrows are just marking the previous low than the most recent higher low. And any move as we start to get down to the extremities of that move and close to pulling back 100% of the move, it starts to threaten the trend. It starts to show potential signs of reversing. However, we've come right up, we've come right back down. We had this completely bullish month, we've come up, and then we had this next month which tried to break down but actually closed very, very bullish. And now we're into December, which at the moment is just holding above 730. And you can see that 730 actually has become a little bit key. We've had resistance all the way back here in our weight a couple of occasions, and then again in 2010 here. Then we actually had it as the high of the month just back here. That was in September. And then we've got this month here, which tried to come below and then rejected that level. And then now in December, we're just holding just ever so slightly above that level, just hovering above it right now. So 730 thereabouts has become a little bit key on the monthly chart to see as far as this uptrend goes. If it can really hold this level now and push up, especially through these last few months' highs, it'll be really confirming that move that it's looking like going higher in the longer term and coming up and breaking these highs up around 850, 860. So at the moment, the monthly chart looks very strong. Let's see if we get any back up from the weekly. And coming to the weekly chart, what we had back through here is we started to make some higher highs, breaking up. Then we started to break back down again as things looked a little bit uncertain because then we still had a lower low back here. So this was a lower low than the previous low. Then we had a higher high, so there's still some uncertainty there. What's happened now is we've got the higher high, we've pulled down, started to look like going lower, but we've now actually put in a higher low. So if we just look at this low that's just been put in now, is now higher than this previous low here, and we've got a higher high. So the weekly chart is an uptrend. In fact, those of you who like to give patterns names, this is kind of a lopsided head and shoulders type pattern where we'll come down, and if we look at this as a shoulder and then a head. Now I don't really like to give things names because really what happened is we made a lower low between there and there, made a higher low and broken up to higher highs. That is ultimately a change of trend. We were downtrending here as we made lower highs and lower lows. We've now made higher highs, higher low. We're moving back into uptrend. So we have a bullish looking monthly chart and we have a reversal pattern there on the weekly which is now moving into uptrend and looks strong. However, we've got resistance in the way. So up through these highs, this is the key level, been marked in for a long time. We've already found resistance there recently. We've come back down now, finding some support down just above 650, and now we're coming back up and looking like retesting that level. So up around 765 to 770, it's that kind of region which will put up some big resistance now, and that's the biggest thing on the way up to 850. So weekly and monthly actually got some agreement there and looking strong. But if we come to the daily chart, and I was just catching up on Travis's videos from last week, and this is where, and the week before, so this is where he saw, we had this key level here on the daily of 715. He saw a good breakdown through here, and it actually held 715 nicely for a few days, then broke down beautifully. But then what happened on the way, and that was actually confirming the downtrend, as Travis said on the daily chart. But then what happened here is as we came back up, we came up and we completely and utterly ignored that level. So after breaking down through it, we came up, we smashed through it. I even just went down and checked right down on lower time frames. It didn't even stop for a breath there, not even a tick. It just broke straight up through that level and pushed straight up higher. Now this was on good news, so there was good news out of Europe, and this has really been what's affecting the market. But when we come and look at this on a daily chart, it's still anybody's guess which way this goes next. So I had the move down, it was downtrending, officially it isn't a downtrend now, but like I just said earlier actually, when a move starts to retrace more than say 78% of the move down, so here was the most recent move down, it's pulled back well beyond 78% of that move, so very close to pulling back 100% of the move. So that's when the downtrend to me starts to look shaky, starts to look less certain. It's by no means as certain to continue down or as likely to continue down as it was before. So this is a very, very weak downtrend now. What we have is it right back close to 100%. In fact, what I'll be probably more verging on is just because we're looking at those higher time frames being bullish, I'll be more swayed to looking for a bounce off 715 and then a continuation back up to come up and test around 760, 765, 770. It's all up through there. There's not a really precise level, but it's kind of from 760 up to around about let's say 770, there's a whole lot of support and resistance there. I think the market will now be drawn up to test that level. I think there's been enough good news out there in the market this week to really get up and test it. Obviously, bad news aside, because it is, it just has continued to be proven, as much as I say this each week, has continued to be proven that the market is so news driven. In fact, it's one of the most news driven markets, if not the most news driven market I can remember trading in. And that is, go back to 2008, we had certainty. The market, everything was bad, things were bad, the markets were going down, that was good. Go to times of war and terrorism, we normally had a fair bit of certainty as to what was going on, and things were certain and going in one direction or another. Right now we just have this real uncertainty. We don't know, and there's good news, there's bad news. Sometimes we get a bit of a stretch of bad news, so we get a move down for a week, but then we get a stretch of good news and we get a move up for a whole week. Other days, like we had back through here for 4 weeks, we had good news, bad news, good news, bad news, good news, bad news every couple of days, and the markets were really choppy. So it's still very uncertain on the daily chart. I do believe the picture will get better on a longer term basis. The charts are telling me that as well. It's just a case of when, and we need to time it on lower time frame entry as well. I'll continue to trade off key levels, even if 715 was ignored on the most recent test. I still think that with some momentum of the higher time frames behind it, 715 could provide good long opportunities for any pullback into that level for now, and certainly be looking for short opportunities up around 760 to 770 in that zone. If the market, especially if the market got up there early this week and tested, it would be significantly overextended from its averages, due a pullback, and I'd be looking for short opportunities up around that level. So that's my plan for this week, to be trading around those key levels, watching the news closely, and looking for the agreement of the daily chart to come back into agreement with the weekly and the monthly. If we get that, we start to get the daily in an uptrend, and it will take a little bit of effort for that to happen. We're going to have to break up probably through 760 to really confirm it, but we'll certainly keep a close eye on things. If the daily moves back into uptrend with the weekly and monthly looking bullish, it could be one of our best signs for quite some time of the market resuming back into some real definitive direction with all of the timeframes in agreement. Happy trading all. I hope that helps. Have a wonderful week trading, and I look forward to speaking to you on next week's update.